1986 saw the course length expand to a massive 15,000 kilometres, with 4 of the individual stages covering over 900 kilometres of special in each. Unbelievable. Well, the 14th of January 1986 was always to be remembered as a dark day in Dakar history. It was the day that it lost its founder and driving force, Thierry Sabine. A sudden sandstorm caused the helicopter he was on board to crash into a sand dune. He wasn't the only one to lose his life that day, but the Dakar deemed it would go on without him. Before that drama, however, the race was running as expected. The battle was raging between the Works Porsche 959s that had cured their reliability problems that forced all the cars out of the 85 rally, and the Mitsubishi effort that had taken the spoils that year. Overall, it started brightly, and there was even time for a bit of larking about.
Oh oui, regardez, 4 bras, moi. 4 bras.
Ça va, Claude, ça se passe bien?
Tout va bien.
Everything okay, Claude? He said everything's fine, actually.
Non, c'est génial, c'est super, c'est génial.
Spirits were high until they reached the soft sand of the dunes, when sometimes all you can do is just get off and push. Exhaustion, such a familiar part of the Dakar. It was always thus.
French coming up.
Voilà, voilà ce qu'il reste.
That's all that's left, he said.
Ça marchait trop bien.
And it was going so well. Oriol was one victim of the sun and the heat. He crashed, hurting his elbow. It was an unfortunate end to the debut of the Kajiva on the Dakar.
Pour cette année, pour aujourd'hui.
It's all over, he says. Well, throughout the heat and the heartache, the rally still focused on the route, even as the wind and the sand began to pick up. And it was those sandstorms that caused a big disaster. 14th, it became quickly clear that something had gone wrong for the helicopters, and with great sadness, the organisers spread the news. Sabine had disappeared. Well, we know now what had happened, and despite the tragedy that also claimed the life of the pilot, singer Daniel Malavoine, and 2 journalists, the decision was taken by the organisers to continue the race rather than stop here. So on it went without its founder. It would go on for many years to come. Well, using his experience and the deep sands didn't seem to trouble Cyril Neveu too much. Eased to his 4th victory on the Dakar, and Porsche claimed their first victory for the 959 in the hands of Metz and Lemoyne. Thierry's father Cyril also pledged to take over the running of the Dakar and to keep it going in the spirit that his son had created. Well, one significant change to the route in 1987 was the stop by the tree named after Thierry Sabine in Niger. This tree was chosen to bear the plaque as homage and a mark of respect to the man whose vision it was that brought us the Dakar, which we still know today. Everyone stopped to pay their respects. Well, the departure from that place was en masse, a sign of solidarity amongst all of the competitors. Well, no more Porsches in 87, when we saw the return of Peugeot to the fray with the heavily modified 205. Peugeot immediately proved their competitiveness, particularly on the speedy flat-out sections in the desert. For the bikes, as ever, it was never easy. The best line often was like a rodeo out there. Intense concentration always required. Well, even the best got caught out on occasion. And sometimes it just helps to ask the locals. Sometimes a helping pointing hand does help out.
Jeunes gens, écoutez bien, on va vous expliquer l'itinéraire du rallye Paris-Dakar.
Well, one man who didn't need extra lessons was Peugeot driver Dakar rookie Ari Vartnen. He quickly settled in.
It was my fault. I mean, it was soft sand, and I should have realized that there is some bad bumps. It was a hard surface and then soft sand, and soft sand you always get bad bumps.
So even he was finding it a little bit rough out there. The race director saying we start 5 stages in Mauritania. Each of the stages will be very difficult. Today it's the first time that we'll do Timbuktu to Neymar. We've never seen this track before, so please read your road books very carefully. Well, for the third time in its history, the Dakar was to cross the deserts towards Timbuktu, but on a new course where all would have to battle the same monumental dunes. This is Cyril Neveu, stuck on the top of a dune. The price he paid for leading from the front. He'd lose his lead to Oriol, who had fewer difficulties. 30 minutes separated them by the end of the day. Oriol coming in says, it looks like you're alone. He says, well, I hope it's going to last. Well, hope of maintaining the lead came in the shape of a railway track that provided a guide between the dunes. But if you took it, it was a bit rough on the bike. Is Hubert far away, says Neveu. And apparently he'd had a puncture. Well, for Oriol, disaster struck early with the rear puncture. As he struggled to repair the damage, Neveu clawed back the time lost, but such was the lead from the day before that Oriol managed to keep the advantage just overall. It was a close battle, and it would be throughout. Well, that's how it is. It's life. I'm still ahead, he says. Well, it was the route that eventually chose the winner. And we were left with another lasting image, the penultimate stage. Just 20 kilometers to go. Oriol hit a tree stump and crashed, breaking both of his ankles. Neveu waited with everyone to see what had happened. Amazingly, Oriol did finish the stage, but his pain was evident. His Dakar was over. Amazing, riding with 2 broken ankles. The pain self-evident. Well, that retirement handed the victory to Neveu, his 5th, flanked by Vartnen and Jan de Roy, the winners of the cars and the trucks titles. They hit the streets of Dakar to huge crowds. We'll have more for you after this break. 1998 was the debut year for a certain Mr. Stefan Pederhansel. Aboard a Yamaha, it was also the finale for René Mech, the 3 times winner. Oriol also returned to the rally after the heartache of 1988, but this time on 4 wheels. He was on board the buggy in the desert. Didn't last long though, abandoning the race on the 7th special. He wasn't the only one. Overcome by the sand, many competitors found themselves imprisoned in the dunes in 1989. It was a tough course that had been chosen. Many said it was too tough. The attrition rate was absolutely enormous. Well, Peugeot raised the bar even higher with the 405, an evolution of the still active 205, markedly increasing the top speed of the car. Well, some still found time to relax and stretch out during the stages. Mitsubishi was still in it to win it, but, well, they were perhaps surprised by the speed of the new 405s. On the flat, there wasn't much they could do but laugh about it and get on with repairs when required. Ganderoy continued to push the limits of the trucks. Here he was overtaking a 4:05, but some of those limits were now being reached, and the trucks were just getting a little bit too quick for everyone's liking. One of the DAF support trucks crashed heavily, and on stage 8 at over 200 kilometers an hour, sadly a navigator was killed. Seriously injured was the driver and the other occupant. It caused a rethink for the whole DAF team and provoked the decision by De Roy to abandon the Dakar. It also signalled the end of the prototype trucks in the race. They were just too quick and were becoming far too dangerous. The race was being run at the same high pace in all three categories at the level. Both the riders and the machines improved, but once again it was the combination of wind and sand unique to the Dakar that slowed the competitors down from time to time. There was drama for the Peugeot team during the night at Bamako as the car of Arie Vautelen disappeared, only to miraculously return unscathed later the next day. Too late for Vautelen to take his starting slot as he began the stage anyway. Later, he was disqualified from the event, the rules being strictly applied. The race was far from over though, as Kankkunen in his Peugeot and Shinazuka in the Mitsubishi fought tooth and nail over the last 4 stages. In the end, Kankkunen took the win in Dakar. On the bikes, Eddie Oriali went one better to take the crown after his second place in '87 ahead of Pico on the Yamaha and fellow Honda rider Gilles Lelay.